Namaste, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all the viewers of Bharat TV. On April 22nd, in the beautiful meadows of Pahalgam, this lady begged a guy standing in front of her with a gun to take her life. Just a few minutes back, the same fellow, a radical Islamist from Pakistan, had shot her husband after the gunman identified her husband as a Hindu. The lady did not wish to live without her husband. And what was the response of the gunman? Go and tell Modi. Yes, that is what he said. Go and tell Modi, the PM of Bharat, what you just saw. Flashback again to last month. This family decided to go on a vacation to Pahalgam, Kashmir. They never knew that it would turn out to be the last vacation when they all would be going together as a family. 26 other families met with the same fate. Their husbands were gunned down before them. So did these women actually go and tell Modi how their Sindoor was wiped brutally? So what was Modi's response? The entire world witnessed Modi's response as Operation Sindoor. Let's discuss. We have in our panel today Nisha Prakash. Hello, Nisha, a founding member and director of Disha Ek Prayas, a 20-year NGO in Bihar, partnering with government and corporate CSR to empower women through skills, training, and employment opportunities. We have Priyanka Mehta, prominent speaker, singer, and a budding author. She offers profound and analytical insights into geopolitical intricacies and current affairs grounded in historical context and hard facts, and is unafraid to voice her opinions when it matters. She also represents Bharat's viewpoint with clarity and conviction across global debate and discussion platforms. And professionally, she is renowned for driving complex risk and regulatory transformation across global financial services, institutions, and corporates through data strategies and capabilities, advanced analytics, and digital technology solutions. Paura Sarkar, Board of Directors, Hindu Action, and Project Lead, Bangladesh Hindu Genocide. You all know her very well. And also a familiar face, very famous, Richa Gautam, Founder Director, CARES Global, and board member of Hindu Action. Welcome, our esteemed panel. So go and tell Modi. Modi's response was Operation Blue Star. My first question is going to be for Priyanka. Priyanka, what were the main objectives of Operation Sindoor, and to what extent were they achieved in neutralizing terrorists?
Thank you very much, Anjali, first of all, for the introduction and for the warm welcome, and a big hello to all the viewers out there. Anjali, the main objective from Bharat, I call Bharat instead of India, but I may use it interchangeably, was to give a befitting response to Pakistan's terrorism. That terrorism that has time and again attacked Bharat, that terrorism that has time and again attacked our Hindus, and that terrorism that continues to feed itself on extremism and jihad. The response that Bharat gave in terms of objective was exceptionally measured, proportionate, non-escalatory, and highly coordinated. It was to neutralize Pakistan's launch pads, military assets, military bases, and at no point in time the objective was to hurt any civilian. and that was ensured by our military officials. It was a response to let Pakistan know that Bharat means what it says. It's a no to terrorism, and that is it. Please let me know if you would like me to go into greater details, but that was at a very, very high level.
No to terrorism, right? Well, of course, yes, no to terrorism. But my next question is that how did India ensure precision, and how did they avoid casualties during the strikes? And if there's any supporting evidence or claims of hitting only terrorist infrastructure. And I'm throwing this question to all our panelists out here, whosoever wants to take this.
Maybe I can take that.
Sure. Go ahead, Richa.
So definitely precision was an important aspect of this Operation Sindoor. And go and tell Modi was, as you said, once Modi, they knew, first of all, that Modi is not one of those, governing heads of India who will just sit quietly. So I think it was a gauntlet thrown at Modi, and he took it. He has shown it in Uri and in Balakot that, we have strategic intelligence to make precise strikes. We have the weaponry in India to make precise targeting, drone attacks without letting even even the Indian Army or Air Force in harm's way. So I think what happened with Operation Sindoor is that India has basically avenged 25 years of terrorism, starting with the Kandahar, the mastermind of Kandahar. I think his name is Abdul Rauf Azhar, the masterminds of 2611, the killer of Daniel Pearl, and eventually 9 terrorist sites where terrorists for 2611 were trained, for every other terrorism that occurs in India and in other parts of the world, get training in Pakistan. And one thing that happened is that we had revenge for, or retribution for, all of these attacks through this Operation Sindoor, not just the Pahalgam, terrorism. And I think the last point I want to make is it just made Pakistan look morally so, deprived when their messaging was not on point. Whenever they went, one of their ministers, I think their defense minister, actually said they have been acknowledging they're doing dirty work for the West for so long. So while Pakistan was not known as the direct perpetrator of this crime, I think a lot of evidence was present, and India took the moral high ground and did not target any civilian sites, but worked towards deterrence for terrorism.
Okay, I see.
Right.
Yes, of course. I think Priyanka wants to add to that. Priyanka, please go ahead.
2 very quick points, Anjali. I think in addition to everything that Richa summarized, what really ensured precision was the indigenous technologies that Bharat used. It was a combination of advanced precision-guided munitions, combination used alongside with drone and geospatial satellite surveillance capabilities, as well as AI-driven targeted systems. It was exceptional, a demonstration of where Bharat has arrived. And that ensured when we targeted the 9 terror base camps and the 11 air bases, and we decimated Pakistan's command centers, logistical supply chains, the drone launch pads, etc. I think that goes to show how precise we were to ensure that the exact target was locked and destroyed. And no one else in terms of civilians were hurt. So just wanted to add to that point. Thank you.
That's a very good point, Priyanka. And I think Richa ji made the same point that we were very precise in hitting the terrorist targets, right? And Paruji, would you like to add to that? I think you also had some thoughts on these terrorist targets. Please go ahead.
More than the terrorist target, I kind of want to dwell a little bit more on the thought process that was highlighted in naming the Operation Sindoor. And as it was pointed out in the opening statement, it was non-Muslim, mainly Hindus, their men that were separated from the women, children, and shot at point blank range for being Hindus after confirming that they were Hindus or Kafirs, the more general term. And when the terrorists had the audacity to say something like, "Go tell Modi," it wasn't about going to tell Modi. It was a message to the billion people that Modi holds dear to his heart and absolutely maintains responsibility for protecting each one of them. So it was a direct challenge to the Indian spirit of democracy, resilience, and the ability to see terror for what it is without punishing an entire nation. Sindoor marks the beginning of a blessed relationship, and Operation Sindoor is as much about retribution as about a promise for a future that we will never bow to terrorism again. Thank you.
Very beautifully put. We will never bow to a future that has terrorism and that is, that has got blood written all over it. And I think, Nishaji, would you like to add? You had some thoughts on Operation Sindoor and about terrorist targets. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Anjali. And I just want to add to everything that everybody has said. I'll come to the precision part first. So, according to the sources who reveal that no Pakistani military or government installations were targeted or engaged, and all the 9 locations hit under Operation Sindoor, they spanned the Pakistan-administered Kashmir and Jammu, Jammu and Kashmir, and in the Pakistan mainland. So the 5 sites that POK near the line of control that were targeted were Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Rawalkot, and Bimber, and the Neelam Valley. And they were the known hubs of insurgents infiltrating into Bharat, into the across the line LOC. And the other 4 strikes that penetrated were Pakistan's Punjab province. And it was the first Indian strike in the populous Pakistani heartland. And Mudrik, and Bahawalpur, where the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed were decimated respectively. Ajhar Masood, a well-known terrorist, very high on the international, he was a designated terrorist. His family members died in this Operation Sindoor as well. And it is a big win because all of these 9 targeted areas were known terrorist scam. And the best part was that Indian Army or Indian operation, they did not even move to the Pakistani soil, so to speak, when the first attack did happen. So the precision that happened was exemplary and first of its kind in the Indian war history. Thank you.
If I may add one point,
Sure,
Anjali, sorry to interrupt, but just a very brief point to the point of retribution, to the karmic retribution that happened. When I think it was the wife of Narwhal, I forget her first name, who said that, why don't you just kill me also, And when Masood Azhar's entire family died, the first thing he said was, I wish even I had to go. So in life, that is the one thing that this whole Operation Sindoor tells us, is that, there is a karmic retribution in this angle too, because India had a really moral high ground in this entire operation.
That's a very important point that you brought about, Richaji, karmic retribution. And yes, Pakistan has a lot of karmic retribution yet that they have to do. I think this is just the beginning. So my next question, and any one of you could take it. It's okay, Nishaji, please go. I think you want to add something to it
Yes.
regarding the karmic retribution. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So I just want to say that the chosen name Operation Sindoor was a brilliant it was a brilliant stroke in the sense that the emotional the emotional energy that it brought behind this cause, it became larger than life itself, because Sindoor is it's a symbol of Hindu marriage, and removing that sindoor for a young widow of 6 days, for example, and there was a searing image of a young lady just sitting beside her husband, and that kind of became a very emotional high point for India. Just 6 days into marriage on a honeymoon, and her husband was killed. So the emotion that it evokes has brought the energy of India like none other. And the entire India is standing behind this operation. The unity that is displayed in the country has never happened before. There had been a couple of wars with Pakistan, but this kind of emotional energy was never seen before. So the entire India is united. We have had news of young people wanting to enroll into army, and then people are saying, "Please take. We want to offer services to the army, and can we join?" All the young men and women. It is unparalleled, and it is a very emotional thing for India right now, because the image, and also the young men targeted, not the women, the young men targeted, um, is unparalleled. It has never happened in the history of India before. The name was a brilliant choice.
It was indeed a brilliant choice. And that moment, and especially that picture that you're talking about, which became viral, indeed, I mean, it was anybody with even a little drop of kindness in them would have been shaken by that image. That's very true. So my next question is, how do you think, and I mean, any one of you can take it, how do you think that this Operation Sindoor, which is definitely it's named after the sindoor or the vermilion which the Hindu married women they apply, those who are married. How do you think this Operation Sindoor has influenced the strategic calculus between India and Pakistan? And do you think, I can't say further escalation at the moment because right now the picture is very unclear. Sometimes there are strikes from India's side, and then Pakistan responds, and then we know that Pakistan has been breaching the LOC agreement and ceasefire agreement and whatnot. So how do you see this as do you see further escalation in the future, even though right now it's not officially defined as a war? Yes, Paraji, please go ahead.
So a couple of things that we need to acknowledge is how measured and calibrated the response was militarily, and also the briefings. One of the things that was very remarkable in how the Indian side conducted the briefings was the dignity and the quiet acknowledgement in their stoicism that this wasn't something to gloat over or to revel in. This was an act of justice, not just for Bharat, but for everyone around the world. And fortunately for social media, there have been a number of voices that have acknowledged that. that there really is no other way to tame such a beast than to destroy its infrastructure. That is the most humane thing to do, instead of going out and randomly bombing sites and creating terror amongst the civilians and the citizenry of a country. So the precision and the discipline with which it was done, and the reason I say discipline is it must have been extremely difficult to maintain the level of secrecy around the operation. There's no way in such a vulnerable, volatile region where we know there are internal enemies as well to carry out these operations with such absolute devastation and pinpointed accuracy.
Absolutely.
Very quickly add on to that.
Priyanka, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Anjali. I think in terms of the strategic, calculus between the two nations, this event and how we have retributed back to Pakistan's terrorism, I think it has reinforced Bharat's stance on countering terrorism, number one. Number two, Bharat's nuclear doctrine, we've been very crystal clear that we believe in no first strike policy. So we would never be, and history testifies this, that we've never been the nation to wage a war. And even in this instance, we are retributing, responding back to the attack that was proactively provoked and unleashed upon us. So even from a nuke standpoint, we shall be, adhering to the principles and the protocols and not really making any proactive stance. But we have made it crystal clear that any further act of terror shall be considered as act of war. And that means that we have not only debunked Pakistan's nuke bluff, because they were the ones to use the word nuclear. India actually, not a single official, not a single politician in no formal capacity even used that word. It was Pakistan who kept threatening time and again over the last couple of weeks, ever since the terror attack was executed, right? So I think in a nutshell, the question regarding any potential risk and escalation, it will really depend on Pakistan's conduct. If it gets in line, then happy days. But knowing Pakistan's history, that seems to be a dream for everybody, I guess. We know where they stand, and therefore they will do something. And should they do, well, we are ready.
We are ready. Yes, if they do, we are ready. Nisha, yes, Richa will just come to you. I just wanted to ask Nisha, because she has given a lot of opinions in her talks about what she thinks that we can expect from Pakistan in this scenario. So maybe just a couple of thoughts from Nisha, and then we'll come to you, Richa. Please go ahead, Nisha.
So yesterday, on 10th of May, we received this news that there has been a ceasefire brokered by US, and the president of US had tweeted, and it came to a lot of Twitterati's and the normal citizens of India as a bit of a shocker, because we were actually getting ready, mentally getting prepared for a bigger picture in the war. Like, we were thinking that India will go all out. And then comes the news of ceasefire. There was a bit of a disappointment, but then statements from our EM, Mr. Jaishankar, came, and people were kind of getting mentally prepared for a ceasefire. However, within a few hours, again, we received shelling from Pakistan. It was a clear act of war, as India had said. So now the Indian forces remain on high alert, and all the airports in northern India, I think 21 airports in northern India, northwestern cities are closed right now, including Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, Amritsar, and Haryana, until May 10th. and schools and colleges and border districts are also closed. All the key personnels of India, including people who are in civil services now, are being recalled. They are supposed to report back from non-military duties back to their military duties because of escalating tensions. India is ready, and it feels like that we are almost on the brink of a very long drawn war. That's the sentiment in India right now. People are ready, citizens are ready. Everybody seems to be just resting in that anticipation. All the weaponry, including the Scalp cruise missiles, hammer bombs, Rafale, they are deployed. And there had been instances of people, the citizens, finding used missiles and giving it back to the army, reporting it back to the army. So India is on a high alert as we speak. There had been a few shellings last night as well, and the videos are coming out in social media. This is a war like this has never been fought. Every citizen has become a reporter with a mobile phone in their hand. So we are actually getting news from the real time, from the ground, and that is unprecedented.
Yeah, absolutely. Richa G, yes, would like to know your thoughts on this.
I think we were talking about the strategic calculus, right? And I think on this Mother's Day, when we are, on this particular weekend, India has shown in every which way that it is the mother of Pakistan, because we have handled ourselves with so much maturity in India that, Pakistan continues to look like a puerile and a more, like a teenager, literally, who is, rebellious and not, keeping its and not keeping a mature stance, in terms of targeting civilians, spreading disinformation in social media. And, also it is clear at this time that it is working as a puppet of China also. That is also something that is coming out. A lot of my friends and some of the counter Indian narrative that is going on is that China got a chance to test its military hardware at this time. But, it is also to be noted that India got a chance to test a lot of its new equipment and new defense mechanisms during this war. So it is actually a big breakthrough after 1971. And the last point I want to make is that the world order that you see today is so different. In 1971, USA was supporting Pakistan. Today we have USA having a pro-India tilt, even though it's staying a little neutral. But then China, is probably one of the only countries besides Qatar and Turkey that are, helping Pakistan, which is very isolated as a hotbed of terror, which everybody has started to recognize as a trouble zone. So I think Pakistan is a tinderbox. Whether India, tries to keep this war long drawn or not is a moot point. I think it is not in India's best interest, but it is definitely that Pakistan has shown itself to be a tinderbox where Balochs are, already rebelling they have taken over Kalat, and there is rebellion in Gilgit-Baltistan. All of these other places are just waiting to rebel against Pakistan's army.
Very true, Richa Ji. With Paraji, I want to ask this question to you. Well, what Richa Ji said is true, that we see a tilt towards India when it comes to US. This is a new thing for India at the moment. But at the same time, IMF has approved loan to Pakistan. And from what I know, that Hindu Action also was one of the organizations who had sent a letter to IMF to not approve this loan to Pakistan. Why do you think that IMF still went ahead and approved this money when they know very well how Pakistan is going to use the money?
So if no one is taking it,
She is actually she is on mute. Yes, and of course we'll come to you also, Richard, once she's done. Go ahead.
So, unfortunately, IMF's track record is very poor. It has continuously failed to hold Pakistan accountable for its terrorist activities. The entire nation of Pakistan has its largest export is terrorism. And all the facts are well known by every intelligence agency around the world. I, being an American citizen, am completely disappointed in the fact that America could have used a veto in this funding and not allowed it to go through, even if symbolic. Now, a lot of people are arguing that, in the scheme of things, this is a very small tranche. It's not even going to cover 10 days of Pakistan's sustainability. It doesn't matter. It's the principle of things. We are saying that we are okay with funding terrorists in other parts of the world as long as it doesn't directly affect us. And we are okay in keeping the military industrial complex on life support through various means. Anybody who wants to believe that Pakistan is going to use the close to $2 billion for climate emergency and gender equality, please. I mean, I don't even know what to say. The fact that we have officials in high places that have high caliber and are considered to be intelligent to try and push this on the public is simply pathetic. I mean, the world really needs to wake up and hold these people accountable.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, Richard, do you want to go next and you wanted to add your thoughts?
I just want to add a quick point. I know that the IMF process of processing these tranches is a long drawn process. So it was in the pipeline for some time that Pakistan would probably get this approved, a tranche of about $2+ billion. So I think it was not as if, a last minute intervention was easy. But I want to add that Trump in 2018 had stopped the kind of money and distribution that used to go to Pakistan because of various reasons, including terrorism. So Trump, I think, as a stance is very, his stance, as his government stance is very different from the overall long-run policies of United States, and we can hope that he will again stop the aid that goes from USA to Pakistan. So while IMF has gone through, hopefully others will not follow suit.
What do you think is your perspective on this, Priyanka, coming from Bharat? Do you think that Pakistan is really going to use the loan for climate change and for the benefit of this world?
I mean, look, Pakistan in terms of climate change should really be worried about getting flooded because we have the control over the Indus Water Treaty now. And that treaty going into abeyance, we can decide when to turn on or turn off the flow. And I'm just putting it mildly. So in terms of sustainability and sustaining their economy, I mean, good luck with that. But coming back to the funds, I think this was part of what was agreed last year as part of the full 8 billion or whatever the exact amount is. And this was the last tranche that was paid out, which very well could have been averted or, agreed upon. But how do I see this, I think, unfolding is that through the diplomatic channels, Bharat will be pushing to, get IMF to recognize that Pakistan is a terror nation, that they cannot continue funding Pakistan the way they do, because it is not just a threat on Bharat, it is a global threat that Pakistan poses. I mean, 9/11, who did that? The attack on the Lahore cricket team. again, terrorist organizations associated with Pakistan. So, and there is a very long list. So, with regards to IMF, yes, um, unfortunately, the vote share was not optimally utilized in favor of the situation. But from Bharat's standpoint, I definitely see our diplomatic channels doing everything behind the scenes through their formal engagements and whatnot in ensuring that that pressure is put back onto IMF instead of the world telling us that exercise restraint and work towards dialogue and peace. We will be actually telling them to revisit the definition of restraint and exercise that restraint in funding Pakistan.
Absolutely. And coming back to the topic of escalation, Indian officials have recently said that if Pakistan will go further, we will not stop, right? So, what do you see as the next phase of the standoff?
So, New Delhi had come up after the ceasefire. New Delhi's revised war doctrine was any future act of terror will now formally be considered an act of war. And it was seen as a big win for India, even after the disappointment of the ceasefire, untimely ceasefire, so to speak. But then, Pakistan, being Pakistan, was unable to restrain itself from perpetrating terrorism further. So, the Nagrota attack that happened just a few hours after the ceasefire was called just vindicates India's point that if Pakistan will go further, we will not stop. And it looks like they are not going to stop this time. The problem is the Pakistani army, which controls the country, they cannot justify their existence without military against India. That is their reason for existence at all, and if any. However, and also Pakistan's democratic process has always been stalled by the army. There had been not a single prime minister since Bhutto, senior Bhutto, who had completed their term as an elected government of Pakistan. So, and because of the army and because of the economic situation of Pakistan, it puts a lot of pressure on the common citizen. Pakistan is ready to implode from inside. What does this mean for India? It means that it means that our enemy nation just next door and that land is going to be so Gilgit Baltistan are baying for their own independence. Balochistan is clamoring for theirs, and then Sindh is Karachi and Sindh is having a standoff with Punjab, Pakistan's Punjab. So all these 4 or 5 regions are just on the verge of implosion. So Pakistan is in a very unique situation. While it's fighting with India on the exterior, they're not able to control their interior politics as well. The one threat that we have never spoken about, and I would like to kind of bring it here, is that the borders are porous. And since we know that terrorists can infiltrate across the line of control, the LOC, it is also possible for them to carry chemical or biological materials. It's very easy. And that is also a real possibility that India is considering at this point of time. I mean, it may not be the real threat, but the fact that there are so many things that are happening which do not meet the normal eye. And as far as the tactical nuclear strike that Pakistan always comes up, the threat of the technical nuclear strike, well, India is ready. However, JD Vance also said that we are watching and we will not allow the war to go nuclear, because that would be, sorry to say, but it would feel like the beginning of the World War III, and nobody wants to be there. And India, given its economic stance and the growth that is happening inside India, we wouldn't want to risk that situation. So I think all the diplomatic channels are open right now. We recently had the foreign minister of Iran visiting India. with suggestions and possibly, a suggestion to broker the deal, the peace deal. So all the diplomatic channels are open. India never wanted war. India does not need this war. And because it's going to stall the fast pace of economic growth, takes the focus away from there. So we are all waiting and watching, and it will be very interesting to see. But India is ready for a war, and India is, if in the case the war escalates, India is going to win the war too.
Yes, of course. I hope so. And yeah, so do we all. And I will just come to you in a moment, Baruji. But I do want to know Priyanka's thoughts as well. And Priyanka, Nisha mentioned J.D. Vance said that they are watching if it may escalate into a nuclear war, which nobody wants. And some of my friends who are there in the city of Jammu, they are having right now sleepless nights because everybody is scared, because Pakistan has this first use policy for the nuclear weapons if they have it. And again, I'm saying the if and quote unquote. But let's assume that they do. How can India neutralize that? So if you can also express your thoughts regarding the nuclear weapons, please.
Yes, but I would just keep my comments very limited because the matters related to nuclear will be very sensitive. But at a very high level, I think should that threat really happen, there is a process in place. They cannot just press a button and start the war, as it were. Now, the pressure and the onus will be on them to ensure that happens, and that will not just involve Bharat, but several other nations getting involved in that process. Number two, Pakistan's threats are really hollow. One has to recognize, for example, if you take the example of Russia-Ukraine, where Russia wanted to go all nuclear, but that was because, Ukraine is not that nuclear amplified. Here, India is nuclear amplified and on the stronger end of that, even more so than Pakistan. There is also a conjecture, and I would like to put that conjecture because it has not been verified yet, but there's also conjecture that has come from certain Pakistani economists who said that because of the Pakistan's debilitated position on the economic front, the nuclears were potentially going to be used as collaterals to put against the loans that have been given to Pakistan. Now, I do not know how true that is or not, but that does, raise a question on the maximum capability strength that they have. And have they sold off their weapons? Are they going to sell off those weapons? Will they have to sell off those weapons? So there are very complicated, even diplomatic dialogues that will be taking place behind the scenes. But as far as J.D. Vance's stance is concerned, look, I mean, their statements are anybody at that level will be highly diplomatic. One has to read right through those sentences and in between the lines and not take those statements at the face value. But what we do know is that the Trump administration, and especially when you have Tulsi Gabbard sitting over there, when you have Kash Patel sitting over there, when you have J.D. Vance's wife as well, Usha Vance, that's a even though she might not be directly in the administration, but she does play an important role in sort of her presence in the broader scheme of things, is the fact that US is also very clear on fighting this terrorism, the radical Islamist terrorism. So should there be a scenario that might pan out that, okay, matters have truly escalated, I think there would be the right kind of dialogues that will be taking place. But quite frankly, I do not see a full-blown nuclear war, because that would mean danger even to Bharat, not just to Pakistan, but to the broader geographical territories also. So I do not foresee that happening, really.
And thank you, Priyanka. That seems very realistic, and of course, it gives hope to a lot of us. Paruji, we would like to come to you next. Please go ahead and express your thoughts.
So I want to highlight a couple of other aspects that have come to the forefront in light of this conflict and the war that was declared upon India by Pakistan. It's the role of social media and mainstream media, and also proxy or puppet masters on the geopolitical stage. People need to call out the absolutely adversarial role or pro-Pakistan role that the mainstream media is currently playing in hyping misinformation, disinformation, and creating absolutely bogus propaganda against India. Highly irresponsible. I don't think I can ever look at mainstream media the same way again. And thank God for the billion strong. Maybe not all of them are on social media, but the social media foot soldiers of Bharat played an extremely important part in countering the wild misinformation campaign that was flying all over the internet. And if people don't realize social media is playing an extremely important role in shaping how conflicts pan out, how they affect the general public's opinion on conflicts, and what pressures they put on their government to take or not take any action. And we've seen that in the aftermath of the October 7th jihad attack that was launched against Israel, and how quickly the perpetrators turned themselves into victims. So India, I'm going to have to say this with utmost respect, is extremely weak from the government side on being able to hold these media houses and to control the social media narrative. That is my biggest worry right now from India's perspective. In terms of controlling the borders, Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces are by far the best, most disciplined, and honorable forces on the face of this earth. There's just no comparison. However, we have mini Pakistans within Bharat itself. Are we prepared to deal with those in the manner that they need to be dealt with? That is where I'm worried about India's vulnerability. And I do hope that the government of India is looking at that in a fresh light in view of what has happened.
I want to add to that. I think it's an important point that Paruji makes, that we do have this 3.5 front war, as they call it, where within India we have agents and people who may target the security of India, from that standpoint. But what I want to probably say is that for India, it is not really, because of that and various other reasons, it is not in India's best interest to have an escalatory, ongoing war. India is also a much larger and growing economy, not down in the dumps like Pakistan is. So again, that doesn't bode well for India to have a long drawn war. And what I want to talk about, again, go back to my first point, which is the moral high ground that India has taken in also the Hindu-Muslim angle of this conflict. India completely, it's on the face of it, completely took out that angle by putting faces like Colonel Qureshi as a spokesperson, and showing, what an amazing and decorated, officer she is. She actually was in my college when I was there. So it's amazing to see her there. But other than that, I was surprised to see how Owaisi stood up for India and, spoke pro-India. Omar Abdullah spoke pro-India, and the way people rallied on the face of it, it became an important sort of projection of India's strength as a secular and a diverse democracy, whereas Pakistan, as you know, has been just on a whole different rampage of the violating human rights of its own minorities within Pakistan itself. Not just India. Not just in India, they targeted Hindus, but within their country, they also target Hindus. So it definitely shows India in a very good moral high ground. And I think for India, my last point is that India has to bring the world community together to bring Pakistan to become a secular democracy and move towards that side, because this cannot continue. It is a problem for the whole world to have Pakistan has lost its relevance to the West as well, in today's world. So from that standpoint, I feel it is time to fight radical terrorism with a global conglomerate.
Yes, of course. And we are very proud. Oh, yes, Nisha, I'll just complete this thought. We are definitely very proud of these Bharatiya women who are in the military, women like squadron leader Qureshi. And I think, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the other.
So it's Vyomika Singh is the wing
yes,
commander.
Vyomika Singh. Definitely, we are extremely proud of them, and this shows where India is after so many years of independence, and where is Pakistan, and what is it that India has done to its minorities and the women, minority women, and what it is that Pakistan does to their minority women. Absolutely. That was a very good point that you brought about, Richa. So, Nisha, you wanted to say something. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
just adding to what Richa has said, and I think it was a master stroke, and it just goes on to prove that by bringing Sophia Qureshi and Vyomika Singh together on the same platform, as soon as the Operation Sindoor was executed, was a brilliant masterstroke, because it allied the fears of the Muslim population in India, and it brought the whole nation together in a way that no other empty words wouldn't have done. So that goes on to show that the government is thinking through and has carefully planned the entire I would say the journey, that everything that is going to map out. They have thought of all the possibilities. Just adding to the social media angle, government has they have actually banned many Pakistani channels, YouTube channels in India, as well as some foreign channels too, who talk about India but not based out of India, and all of them are banned. Nobody can access that. India has also banned TikTok, which is largely a Chinese operation, and which is a very popular medium of creating discourses or social media or perceptions in the West. And on top of it, India is also ready and on the very ground level with managing the entire situation should the situation go out of hand. So all the Indian agencies, Suraksha Dal and BSF and everybody is actually on the high alert, including the police machinery in India, in case anything untoward happens. So they have actually thought of every angle and planned it to detail, to minutest detail.
Absolutely. And these are very good points that we have discussed. But I would address this question, my next question, to Priyanka, that well, yes, of course, India has shown a very brave front, but how prepared do you think India is at this moment for a prolonged period of this heightened military tension? And what do you think are the implications in terms of national security and the civilian life? Because I talked about blackouts and these drones unexpectedly trying to hit our cities. And of course, underlying all of this is the fear of a nuclear war, which we already talked about. But any thoughts on this, Priyanka?
Yes, Anjali, absolutely. I think, let me put it this way. we have not yet even shown our military prowess. We have not even shown. This is what I would define is stage 0, probably, what's been happening. So that should tell the world how prepared we are. We, for example, on the military front, we have active S-400s. We have mobilized our forces. We have not even our naval base, which is the strongest amongst, I'm comparing against the world level, global level naval bases. We have not even shown the strength of our naval bases. So I think if you cumulatively look at all our military capabilities, including our personnel, including our armed forces, we are prepared. Even in terms of personnel, we are 1.6 million or plus. We'll need to double check the numbers, and that is more than twice of that of Pakistan. Pakistan quite literally doesn't have. Yes, I would never underestimate the enemies, and they are, very well trained in what they do, which is basically jihad and terrorism. But I think our military prowess has not yet been showcased. So that was number one. Number two, with regards to the impact that will be there should the escalation happen, yes, certain level of impact might be expected, especially across the trade and supply chains, the economic level of impact, etc. Social level impact, where people, not everybody might be mentally that strong, and especially kids might get scared with sirens and blackouts and things like that happening. But I would say this, how we executed our operations, Anjali, over the last few days, our administration, internal administration that comes under the Home Ministry, etc., they have been working round the clock in ensuring that the communication comes out in a timely manner. The helplines and whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is email, whatever that is, depending on the location and the city and all of that, was communicated, and they were actively supporting those who might have been affected in a certain way or might have got scared. So I think really it's a huge shout out to exceptional level of administration that Bharat's government and military and forces, they've combined, they've shown it. So yes, there will be risks because war itself is a risk in itself. But we are ready, and that readiness not just includes our military and technology capabilities, which I mentioned earlier at the start of the discussion, but we are ready on the ground as well. And we have, speaking of ground, we have a lot of our Hindu forces who work on the ground to support a lot of these causes. And I don't want to intentionally name any organization just to avoid any political debates that might be happening, narratives on social media, but we know they are there, and they are there. They are so determined, Anjali, and I can guarantee that if we had to pick up a weapon and fight the terrorists, they would do it. And I would just like to share a very small story in 30 seconds. I was speaking to somebody who has served in who has not served in defense forces, but their friend or their brother had. And that individual they asked their wives and their mother that, and I just want to bring this women element into this, that even the women are determined to fight this. He asked them that, what would you do and how would you like to contribute? And neither of them, the wife or the mother, have any background in defense or military or anything like that, or intelligence. But you know what they said? That we are ready to put down our jewels, and if that is all that we can do, we will do it. If that helps generate some kind of funding towards any ground level activities, we are even ready to do that. So every citizen, the world's largest democracy, 1.4 billion are standing united. And,
so
yeah.
One last question before we wrap this up. Maybe each one of you can give me an answer. And this question is to women like you, that what role can women like you or us, we can play in peace building and community resilience as an aftermath of these kind of attacks? And maybe I should have Richa go first.
Yes, I think, women always play a very strong role in building society and building. I feel that there is no room for hate in this world, and women have to lead that path of, whether it's women of any religion, whether it is in, the Hindu, the Christian, or the Muslims, the women have to lead the path of the humanitarian good, the greater good in today's world. There is no doubt about it. I think Colonel Qureshi and Vyomika Singh, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, have been the face of this Operation Sindoor, and rightly so, because women have shown today that they have the strength, the resilience to go and conquer, So I think women have many different roles to play. And I think on that, on a lighter note, I just want to say that whenever there is a Fawad Khan movie coming up, we always have some skirmish with Pakistan. So Fawad Khan should be banned. I think for the Bollywood heroines, I want to say, stop working with Fawad Khan, because every time he comes, there's a movie about Abir Gulal, I think is banned now. And before that, there was another one. Stop working with Fawad Khan.
Stop working with Fawad Khan. Okay. So yeah, that's a good message. Nisha, what about you?
Bollywood.
Yes, Bollywood. Nisha, let's get your perspective and what is your message?
So, Anjali, if you look at all the signs, today is Mother's Day, and we are recording this. It's an all-women panel, mulling over what's going to happen for the future of the country and the humanity. So that itself is a big symbol. Operation Sindoor is all about avenging a woman's honor, and the entire country is rallying behind it. 1.4 billion people are rallying behind this fact. The Matra Shakti, and the power of women being called out for this duty, because war just does not happen on the fronts. It also happens on the grounds in our homes, and especially the people who are fighting on the front, their family is left behind, and the women is holding the entire universe, that small world, together. So and women of India are born with that Matra Shakti. We are trained to garner, to harness, to bring that energy all forward all the time. And it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. It's unparalleled. Like no other civilization in the world has been able to do that. The way Hindus or Indians, because of the Hindu civilization, they have been able to do. And that itself is a big thing. That itself is a huge thing. It is always the women who build the culture back, who promote the culture, who carry the culture forward, teaching to their offsprings and taking it to the next generation. Women of India have done it. Hindu women have always done it before. If we look through our entire history of existence and our civilization history, and they are ready to do it even now with responsibility and also with this knowledge that it's a sacred task that they have to complete is the purpose. So it's a larger than life purpose, and everybody's ready.
Everybody is ready. Okay. If in one sentence, if you had to conclude this message to the women of Bharat, living in Bharat or outside Bharat, that this is what one thing that they can do, what would that one thing be?
Matra Shakti. Hold on to the mother inside you. It's the mother goddess. Yes. Even a little girl born, and it sounds feminists can question this, but I have a very different angle. That energy, that Matra Shakti is the energy which carries the world forward and which makes the world worth living. So even if you're a physical mother or not, does not matter. The Matra Shakti that we have inside us, the power of the goddess, is the one that, that makes the world go round.
Matra Shakti makes the world go around. Beautifully said. Thank you, Nisha. Paroji.
So I'd like to take just a little bit more time maybe to you allotted. So for those who understand the psyche of jihad, it is to first take away the spirit of the woman. They have done that in the ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandits. They have done that with the rapes of hundreds and thousands of women during the Bangladesh genocide. And they showed that in this particular episode of that they wanted to break the spirit of Bharat, which is the Shakti that Nishaji had just alluded to. And Shakti means not bringing peace, but bringing the strength to withstand evil. That is what Durga Mai does. And I have no doubt that the women of Bharat will remember this on behalf of the women that were widowed, whose fathers were taken, whose sons were taken in Pahalgam. They will let this memory not die. That is the biggest service that the women can do, is to preserve the story of what just happened and to use this episode to link together all the stories of Bharat and the resilience.
Yes, absolutely. Shakti to bring the strength to withstand evil and preserve the story, preserve the memory of what just happened. That's a very important message. Very poignant, very strong. Thank you, Paruji. Priyanka, what is your message?
I think both Nisha and Paro covered the sentiment that I was going to express. But let me say this: two things I would like to say. First, what is it that women can? Even before that, a woman can bring life on this earth, and so therefore, that woman knows how to fight for that life. Does not matter what your role is. You could be a wife, a sister, a mother, whichever your role is, you can fight for that life. And you can fight for the life. This is about fighting for the nation. So that's, every woman has that Shakti in her, Ma Durga, as Paruji rightly said. It's about evoking that Shakti and unleashing the power of that Shakti for the nation, for the nation's sovereignty, for the nation's integrity, and for the nation's territorial, security, national security, and for the Hindus in particular. I will not mince my words. Hindus have been targeted systematically, and Ma Durga is one of the gods we worship in Sanatan Dharma. So that Shakti, when it is evoked, it has the power to destroy the enemies. That was number one. Number two, on more actual ground level work or practical work, what is it that women can do? A lot of the women who might be associated, for example, like Paroji, who's doing a lot of good work in terms of Hindu, related initiatives. Some of us, those who have any connections at the UN, and UN has been bad labeled and wrongly labeled for all the right reasons, because they are the ones who give the sermons to the world, but they never really stand against terrorism. So it's wherever you are, in whichever capacity the woman is, even if she might be a homemaker, leveraging that access that you have, whether it is access at the ground level, whether it is access at a corporate level, whether it is access at one of the global organizational level, but ensuring that this message based on facts goes out, that this is the time, if we don't speak up and we don't fight right now, then we shouldn't complain for our children when they get affected in the future. So it's now or never, and we can do this. Thank you.
Now or never, and we can do this. Absolutely. The women of Bharat, wherever you are, you can you do fight, and you have to fight this time for your nation. You have to invoke that Shakti. You have to unleash that power for your nation. And on the ground, when whatever capacity you're working, you leverage that capacity. Your role can be anything. You can be a homemaker, you can be a professional. You ensure that this message goes out. So thank you so much. These were some very powerful messages from these very powerful women from Bharat. They live all across the globe, but they are originally from Bharat. So we discussed today some of these questions. They aim to center around women's experiences, those who are residing within and outside Bharat, women like you. And we also talked about the needs of the people of Bharat, about their security, policy, community healing after this dastardly Pahalgam attack. So the message is loud and clear to those Pakistani Islamic radicalized terrorists who said, go and tell Modi. So let me tell you this, those women did tell Modi, but if you did not like Modi's response, then they do have suggested a few options for you. Option number 1 is stop messing with Bharat, else Modi will take you to task. Option number 2, convert into a human and denounce radicalization and terrorism. Option number 3, hang your head in shame and go tell Asif Munir what we just told you. And option number 4, all of the above. Thank you so much to all our panelists, and thank you so much for watching Bharat TV. It was a pleasure having you. Namaste.
Thank you very much.